The skies above Naboo were grey, mourning with the people below. Rain whispered through the trees of Feed, where the grand procession moved slowly, draped in silence. The body of Padmé Amidala, queen turned senator, a symbol of hope and strength, now rested among flowers. Her hands were folded over her chest, a slight swell still present, as if she had died pregnant. A lie designed to protect the truth. Hidden among the shadows of the mourning crowd stood a single figure cloaked in grey. Her head was low, but her eyes sharp, orange, way beyond her years, locked onto the casket with unshakable pain. Ahsoka Tano didn't cry. She couldn't. Her tears had dried on the day the galaxy turned upside down, the day the Jedi fell. She didn't plan to come. It was dangerous. The Empire was rising fast, and the Inquisitors were already hunting survivors. But Padmé had been different. She had stood by Anakin, by the Republic. Even after Ahsoka left the Order, Padmé had never treated her any differently. And now she was gone, just like everything else. As the funeral ended, the crowd began to disappear. Ahsoka turned to leave, to vanish again, when a voice gently called to her through the shadows. "You shouldn't have come, but I hoped you would." She turned. Standing just out of view of the public eye was Bail Organa, cloaked and careful, but his eyes were filled with urgency. Ahsoka said nothing. Bail stepped closer. "I don't have much time," he said, "and neither do you." Ahsoka hesitated. "You knew her well. She was my friend, and more importantly, she left behind something greater." Ahsoka looked at him, confused, and then he stepped forward and lowered his voice to a whisper that only she could hear. "She had children, twins. They survived." Her breath caught in her chest. "She gave birth before she died. I've taken the girl, Leia. She's safe with me on Alderaan." Ahsoka's mouth was dry. "And the other?" "The other one is a boy. He's with Master Kenobi on Tatooine." She staggered a step back. The emotions she'd locked away were erupting like fire. "So Obi-Wan, he's alive?" "Yes. And so is Master Yoda. He's gone into exile, somewhere far hidden." She shook her head slowly, still piecing it together. "Why didn't they call for me?" "Because they didn't know you survived. The temple was..." He paused, the weight of the words almost too much. "Purged. The clones turned. Every Jedi they could find, gone. A Sith led the attack. Not Sidious. Someone else. A dark warrior. Ruthless. We don't know his name." The last part gripped her. The thought that Anakin might have faced such a figure, that maybe the Sith even killed him, twisted her insides. She didn't dare ask. "And Palpatine?" she finally asked. Bail's jaw tightened. He declared himself Emperor. The Senate barely resisted. The fear was too strong. "He has the galaxy now, Ahsoka." The words crushed her. Bail looked around, then handed her a small communicator. "This is encrypted. Contact me when you're ready. I know what you've been through, but the galaxy isn't lost. Not yet." Ahsoka looked down at the device, then at him. "What are you asking of me?" Bail gave a quiet smile. "Nothing. Not yet. But someday, soon, we'll need you." Then he turned and disappeared into the dispersing crowd. Ahsoka remained standing there, still alone, but not as lost as she had been before. She now knew the truth. Leia lived, Luke lived, Obi-Wan lived, Yoda lived. The Jedi weren't dead, not yet, and neither was she. The galaxy was crumbling, and so was her belief that it could be fixed. For 3 years, Ahsoka Tano lived in the shadows. She wandered forgotten places, hiding behind the name Ashla, burying her lightsabers and severing ties with the Force itself. The Jedi were gone. Her master was gone, and the Republic had become something monstrous. She tried to pretend that detachment was strength, that surviving meant silence, but something had changed since that day on Naboo. Leia Organa. She couldn't stop thinking about that little girl, an infant who would never know her mother, a Force-sensitive child who would be hunted one day, just like every Jedi was. She had to be protected, trained, prepared. Ahsoka kept in touch with Bail Organa, checking in rarely, cautiously. He respected her distance, but always reminded her, "You know where to find us when you're ready." Then, one day, they found her. It was a remote farming moon. She worked the fields by day, helping quiet people live quieter lives. She thought maybe, just maybe, the Empire wouldn't look for the Jedi in the dirt. She was wrong. The air turned cold one morning. Shadows crept through the sunlight. An Inquisitor had arrived. He wore black and red, carried a double-bladed lightsaber, and hunted her without hesitation. He knew her name. He knew what she had been. He thought he could break her. He never got the chance. The duel was swift. Ahsoka didn't even have her old blades, but she didn't need them. She used his own lightsaber against him, striking like wind and fire, fast, brutal, and precise. When it was over, his body collapsed into the dust, and in that silence, she remembered Leia's face. She remembered Bail's voice. She remembered who she was. That night, under the stars, she held a small communicator in her hand. It blinked softly, like a heartbeat she didn't feel in years. She activated it. "Senator Organa, this is Ahsoka Tano." There was silence. Then his voice came through. "Ahsoka, you're ready." She took a breath. "I'm done hiding. You said Leia's with you?" "She is." "Then I'm coming to Alderaan." Alderaan was a world of peace and beauty, untouched by the rising shadow. White spires climbed into the clouds, and oceans shimmered like crystals. It was a place of healing, but also a place of hope. And when Ahsoka arrived, she didn't come as a Jedi Knight. She came as something older, something deeper, a survivor ready to pass on what she had nearly lost. Bail met her personally. No guards, no fanfare. He welcomed her into his home with a quiet nod. Then he brought her to a small courtyard where a young child played among the flowers. The girl looked up, curious, with Padmé's eyes and Bail's stubborn stance. She was 3 years old, already bold, already sharp. "Leia," Bail said gently, "this is Ahsoka." Leia tilted her head. "Are you a soldier?" Ahsoka smiled. "Not anymore. I'm something different." She knelt and looked the girl in the eyes. "I'm going to teach you how to listen to the stars." Leia beamed. Bail watched from a distance, eyes filled with the kind of hope he hadn't felt since the Clone Wars. Ahsoka stayed in Alderaan's shadows. Officially, she was a quiet family friend, but in the quiet forests, the underground chambers, and the still hours before dawn, she trained. She meditated. She rebuilt her strength, and slowly, she began to teach Leia. Not just how to lift rocks or swing a blade, but how to feel, how to center, how to see through lies and stand for truth. Leia was only a child, but she was already strong in the Force. And now, she had a master. 3 years had passed. Alderaan remained quiet, but beneath the palace gardens and diplomatic receptions, something ancient stirred again. Leia Organa, now 6 years old, was no ordinary princess. By day she learned politics, ethics, languages. By night she learned discipline, focus, and the ways of the Force. Ahsoka taught with compassion, but she was strict when it mattered. Leia had a natural fire, stubborn, curious, sometimes reckless, but that fire was tempered by her master's calm. Where others might have tried to shape her into a weapon, Ahsoka taught her balance. She taught her how to feel without being consumed, how to fight without becoming a tyrant, and most importantly, how to listen. Ahsoka, now 23 years old, had grown stronger than ever. She trained alone during Leia's school hours, practicing saber forms, Force meditation, even reactivating her old training droids with Leia to spar against. But one question burned in her mind still. Obi-Wan. She knew he was alive on Tatooine. Bail had confirmed it, but she hadn't reached out, not since the day he vanished with the boy. Now she was ready. Before dawn, she stood at the edge of Alderaan's launch pad, a small transport prepped and cloaked. She knelt by Leia's bed. "You'll be safe here," she whispered. "Keep practicing the breathwork. Trust your instincts." Leia stirred. "Are you leaving?" Ahsoka smiled. "Only for a little while. I promise. I'll come back stronger." Leia reached out sleepily. "Don't forget to teach me the double jump when you come back." Ahsoka laughed softly. "Deal." She vanished into the stars, bound for the desert. Tatooine was dust and heat and silence. She kept her hood low, blending in the ports and outposts. She asked questions, polite, vague, just enough to not raise alarms. The name Kenobi meant nothing to locals, but a few Jawas remembered an old man buying parts. A barkeep in Mos Eisley recalled a robed drifter years back. Still, there was nothing solid. Until she asked the Tuscans. Using ancient sign language learned in the Clone Wars, she communicated her search. An old warrior, alone, near the Dune Sea. The chieftain marked her map without a word. 3 days passed, still no contact. That night, as she sat beneath the twin moons, Ahsoka reached out through the Force. She didn't speak, just felt, pushed her presence out across the dunes like a wind on the sand. Far away, in a quiet cave, Obi-Wan stirred awake. At first he ignored it. A ghost, a memory. But the signature was unmistakable. It wasn't Anakin. It wasn't Yoda. It was her. He closed his eyes and reached back out. By morning, Ahsoka had followed the current of the Force across the dunes, and there, carved into the rock, was the familiar entrance to a cave. He stood at the edge, arms folded, older, tired, but not broken. "You found me," he said. "Took me long enough," she replied. They embraced without hesitation. It was the first moment of peace either had felt in years. They spent the next day talking about Padmé, about the twins, about the fall of the Republic. Obi-Wan admitted his guilt, his failure, that he had trained the Chosen One and watched him destroy everything. Ahsoka listened. She mourned Anakin too, but with less shame and more understanding. She spoke of Leia, her growth, her potential. Obi-Wan's eyes lit with surprise, and then with hope. "You've already done what I haven't," he said. "Then catch up," she grinned. The next morning, she challenged him. "Come on, old man, let's see if you've still got it." Obi-Wan laughed, stepped outside the cave, and drew his blade. They dueled in the sand. At first, Ahsoka had the edge, sharper, faster, more practiced, but Obi-Wan wasn't weak. The Force began to flow through him again, slowly, then steadily. After 20 minutes, they stopped, both smiling. "You still have it," she said. "And you, Ahsoka, have become something incredible," Obi-Wan said to her. That night, by the fire, Obi-Wan told her the final truth. He told her what Anakin had done, that he became the apprentice of Darth Sidious, that he had purged the Jedi Temple, that Obi-Wan himself had faced him in Mustafar and left him for dead. "He's gone, Ahsoka, not just lost. Gone." She wept in silence, not because it shocked her, but because it confirmed what she'd feared in her bones. The galaxy's greatest knight had become its greatest monster. But still, something tugged at her heart, a thread left uncut. When morning came, she prepared to leave. She stood by her ship, pack slung over her shoulder. "What will you do now?" she asked him. "I'll train the boy," Obi-Wan said. Slowly, carefully. Ahsoka nodded. "He's strong, but different from Leia. You'll see." "And Leia?" "She's becoming something powerful, balanced, maybe what the Jedi were always meant to be." Obi-Wan gave her one last look. "You brought me back, Ahsoka." She smiled. "Then keep going. The galaxy's not done with us yet." She boarded her ship and vanished into the sky. Behind her, Obi-Wan closed his eyes, and for the first time in years, opened himself fully to the Force. He would not fail again. 4 years passed. The galaxy groaned under the weight of the Empire. More systems fell silent, their freedoms crushed beneath the Imperial boots. The Jedi remained forgotten. Myths, ghosts, warnings whispered to children by nervous parents. But while the Empire tightened its grip, the Skywalker twins were growing stronger. On Alderaan, Leia Organa, now 10 years old, trained each morning in hidden temples beneath the palace grounds. She moved with purpose, not just as a noble, not just as a princess, but as something more. A guardian, a warrior. Ahsoka, now seasoned and grounded, taught her with patience and fire. Their bond had become something sacred. Leia called her master without hesitation. And across the stars, on Tatooine, Luke Skywalker was growing too. Obi-Wan, no longer disconnected from the Force, had become his quiet mentor. He showed Luke how to trust the Force, to listen, to find balance between emotion and control. Luke's connection was raw and wild, but strong, perhaps stronger than even Obi-Wan was expecting. Though separated by light years, Luke and Leia met many times, brought together through secret diplomatic missions, coded rebel gatherings, or quiet moments arranged by Bail and Obi-Wan. They were more than siblings. They were partners, and they knew. They knew who they were, not in blood, but in the Force. Then, one day, the shadow returned. Obi-Wan had been tracking whispers, small rumors, fragments of terror, Imperial officers trembling at the mention of a man who could crush starships with his mind. Jedi survivors, the few who remained, being hunted and slaughtered by a warrior in black armor. Obi-Wan followed the trial to a half-dead Inquisitor, wounded in the dunes near Anchorhead. The man laughed through his pain. "You think hiding will save you, Kenobi? He's coming." "Who?" Obi-Wan demanded. The Inquisitor's eyes blazed. "Darth Vader." The name hit like a thunderclap. Obi-Wan staggered back. The air grew thin. His lungs seized. Vader. The name wasn't just a legend anymore. Obi-Wan had seen the Sith Lord on Mustafar burn. But somehow, Anakin had survived. He was still out there. Obi-Wan didn't wait. He sent a coded transmission to Ahsoka. Encrypted. Urgent. "Ahsoka. Anakin, he's alive." The silence that followed seemed to stretch for hours. Then, finally, Ahsoka replied, "I always felt it, but I prayed it wasn't true." She sat in the gardens of Alderaan, holding the message and shaking hands. Leia saw the look on her master's face and didn't ask. She already knew. From the day forward, Leia and Luke's training intensified. Leia learned to shield her thoughts, control her emotions, see danger before it struck. Luke practiced long into the nights, pushing himself to exhaustion, driven by something he couldn't name. They were both preparing for something. They just didn't know what. But fate did, and it was almost time. For the next 9 years, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka trained Luke and Leia in secret, undisturbed. The only disturbance that happened was when Maul once showed up on Tatooine, but Obi-Wan made quick work of him. While in the 19 years that followed Revenge of the Sith, Darth Vader would never come to find Obi-Wan until A New Hope. The stars above Tatooine were burning. In high orbit, a white rebel ship, the Tantive 4, fled at maximum speed, its engines screaming as a massive wedge of black metal pursued. The Devastator, Darth Vader's flagship, closed in like a predator that had finally caught the scent. On board the Tantive 4, Leia Organa walked with fire in her step and calm in her breath. She wasn't afraid. The Death Star plans were in her possession, hidden in the astromech droid R2-D2, and she knew what came next. Her master, Ahsoka Tano, had helped prepare for this moment. The Force was her ally, and even now, as enemy ships surrounded them, she felt its presence. "There will be fear, but you will not bow to it," Ahsoka had once said, and Leia didn't. She uploaded the coordinates for Tatooine into R2's memory and knelt beside the droid. "You'll find Obi-Wan Kenobi. Tell him everything." C-3PO panicked beside her. Of course, The droid never stopped fretting, but Leia gave R2 a final look of trust. Then she stood. Blaster fire rocked the ship. The time had come. Moments later, stormtroopers boarded. Blaster balls ripped through the corridors as rebel soldiers fell, one after another. The corridor outside Leia's chamber filled with smoke and screams. She moved like a shadow. Through it all, her presence cloaked by the Force, her saber hidden in the folds of her cloak. Yes, Leia Organa carried a lightsaber. Not a Jedi's blade. Not yet, but one Ahsoka had built for her training. Simple, refined, blue. Still, she didn't use it. Not yet. She had a mission to complete, and the only way was her. She had turned and walked into the corridor, just as the black shadow stepped through the smoke. Darth Vader. Her eyes looked. His presence in the Force was overwhelming. Pain, anger, fire. But Leia didn't flinch, not even at the thought that this was her real, biological father. She had known for many, many years after she learned it from Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, but despite that, she kept her cool, and she wasn't going to say anything. She simply held her ground. "I'm on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan," but he didn't care. His grip crushed her lungs, and the guards dragged her away. Down on the surface of Tatooine, a familiar set of binary suns blazed over the Lars homestead. Luke Skywalker, now 19, stood outside looking at the horizon. He had sensed something, a tremor in the Force, a call like a whisper in the wind. And miles away, Obi-Wan Kenobi was already preparing. The message was coming. He knew it. He felt it. When the droids arrived, it all unfolded quickly. Luke discovered R2's hidden message, and this time, the message meant more than ever before. Leia's face projected in ghostly blue light, but her voice was calm and confident. She wasn't just begging for help, she was calling her family. "General Kenobi, years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. I now ask you to serve his daughter, and the rebellion. You knew my mother. You knew my father. You trained my brother. Now, I need you." Luke was stunned. Obi-Wan said nothing for a long time. Then, Luke stepped up and asked, "It's time, isn't it?" Obi-Wan stood there, and then he responded, "Yes, it is time to save your sister, and then destroy the Empire." Luke, now more ready than ever, responded, "We will save my sister, and my father." Obi-Wan nodded, "And when we do, the Sith will be gone, and the Jedi will return." They went to Mos Eisley. They met Han Solo and Chewbacca. The Millennium Falcon blasted off under Imperial fire. But this time, it wasn't just a smuggler's job. It was the beginning of something bigger. Back on Yavin 4, Ahsoka Tano received a coded transmission from Obi-Wan. She hadn't seen Leia in days, and now her student was imprisoned aboard the Death Star itself. She clenched her jaw. Her hands trembled. But she reached out with the Force, and felt Leia's strength shining back at her. She's ready. The mission would go on. The Skywalkers were coming together. The rebellion had always been built on hope. But now, something more powerful stirred in the shadows. A hidden legacy. A family forged through war, loss, and the unbreakable bond of the Force. The Jedi were no longer extinct. They had returned, quiet, hidden, and reborn. And the galaxy had no idea what was about to rise. "Hope is not given, it is chosen," Ahsoka once said. And hope is what the Skywalkers had just chosen. And that is it for What If Ahsoka Tano, or Ahsoka, had trained Leia Organa, Princess Leia, or whatever. Now, as you guys may notice, it's a very open ending. Why? Because it's a single story that leads up to A New Hope, or the beginning of A New Hope. But if you guys want, and I hope you do, please do request a part 2 in one section, because it's one story, but it allows for a part 2. So if you guys want to see a part 2 of this story, please do let me know down below in the comments section of this video, and we will do a part 2 to this story. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and once we do, we'll go into a face reveal. Like the video, and comment, of course, anything. I love getting comments on these videos, and they're always awesome to read and respond to. Also, do make sure to turn notifications on to be notified about the next time I post a Star Wars What If. Join our Discord, link in the description, trying to build our community over there, and that would be fun if we had, more people there. And also, if you want to support the channel and get exclusive perks, consider joining our Patreon, link in the description. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Next Star Wars What If will be on Sunday this week. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. This is the way, and may the Force be with you. Until then, I will see you next time. Hey, you didn't watch it? Well, check out the video on the left side of the screen, which is specifically recommended for you, or check out the playlist on the right of the screen, which contains similar videos to this one, made by me, of course. Hey, remember, subscribe.